to episode 13 of Mark on Comms. This is my Week A preview, a packed episode we have for you today. I'm going to jump in, have a look at the big stories that have piqued my interest and give you my thoughts on some of those things. We're also going to have a look at the schedule, big 6 games ahead of us across Tuesday and Wednesday evening. I will tell you which 3 of those games that I think you should definitely bulk out in the diary and make sure you are tuned in to watch. Then I will close out today's episode, as always, with me sticking my neck on the line and give you my predictions for the results from this week's games. Always an area I love looking into is the power rankings, both for players and teams. First up, the players one's the MVP race, as the Euroleague Women's call it. Their top 3, Emma Messerman, are back-to-back reigning Euroleague Women's regular season MVP, is in first spot. Maria Conde from Praha in second spot, and Ileana Rupert is in third spot. Just wanted to put some shout outs. If you jump onto the Euroleague Women's website, it gives you their top 10. But the ones that I've picked out, and probably the biggest for me, is Cannon missing. Polkovica averaging over 21 points and almost 11 rebounds a game. She's not even in the top 10. I think that's a crime. I understand that some of the implication comes from the fact that she might and potentially will not make it through this second round, as Polkovica are currently bottom of their group. But come on now, surely she needs to be given some props. She's having a hell of a season. Alongside that, I think Brianna Jones is going to move her way up. Obviously, a later rival, but putting in some big numbers, 17 points, over 7 rebounds a game in the 5 games that she's played now. Expect her to absolutely go up the rankings when they come out next. And then the final hat tip for me, one that should be potentially talked about in that top 3, is Janelle Salon. A huge season, 17 points a game, over 6 rebounds a game, and unbelievably 2.3 steals a game as well. She is lighting it up for Skio right now. So they're the 3 that don't feature in the top 3 that I potentially think should. Messerman, Conde, absolute dead cert that they should be top 3 conversations. Not sure about Liana Rupert having a hell of a season. I think a lot of why she's getting in there, though, is to have some Mersin representation. Obviously, they currently sit unbeaten. However, it feels their unbeaten run is spreading the load across quite a few different players, not necessarily a standout performance from any one particular player in that team. But yeah, for me, big takeaway, Cannon not getting enough love, not getting enough of the spotlight, definitely needs to be corrected. We now jump across to our team power rankings. Mersin still sitting top of the table, number 1 in the rankings. Fenerbahce number 2. First things first, that's the wrong way round. Fenerbahce back-to-back champions. Okay, that's the first thing. They've been there, done that the last 2 seasons all the way. Okay, so that absolutely gives them a solid foundation. Mersin finished in 4th place last year after hosting the Final Fours. Don't get me wrong, Mersin, hell of a team. Absolutely could go on to win the title. I just think if you were looking at this, Fenerbahce are, for me, the better team this season. And then if you dig a little deeper outside of Euroleague Women's, you look at their domestic records, it kind of reinforces that. Right now, Fenerbahce are unbeaten, 10-0 in the Turkish Women's League, whilst Mersin sit on a 7-4 record, up to middle table. So for me, this is a no-brainer. Fenerbahce have to be top of the table. The other one I call out on these power rankings is Lund, positioned as 7th in the power rankings. Now, this came out before game day 7. Game day 6 or 7, and that I absolutely understand. We saw Lund with another big performance last week, but their 3rd best record over all the teams that remain. I don't understand how you could potentially say that they aren't higher than 7th. Their 5-2 record, 2nd in Group E. Come on now, Lund need to be higher up the rankings, and Fenerbahce should be at number 1. And then the final piece of news that kind of slipped under the radar but didn't slip under my radar was the arrival of Bilgic at Mersin. I think this is a really smart pickup. Made the move from Bodrum. A veteran player, the way she plays, I think will fit Mersin perfectly. They've come out as quite a physical, robust, aggressive team. and really look to impose themselves on games, particularly when they get close. They try and raise the physicality. Bilgic fits that perfectly. Huge amount of experience across Euro Cup women as well as Euroleague women. Last time, just checking the stats, last time was 21-22 season that she was in Euroleague women for Galatasaray. 8.5 points, 4.5 rebounds and 6.5 assists a game. That is a smart pickup for me by Mersin. Expect her to not necessarily be starting, but certainly contribute off the bench and bring some leadership to that team as we get into the more business end of the season. Smart move. I like that one from Mersin. Okay, here's the 6-game slate for this week. We are looking at Brno taking on Lond, Valencia against Zaragoza. There are 2 games on the Tuesday night. Then on Wednesday night, we have Mersin v Skio, Praha Polkovica, Umana Reya Fenerbahce, and then rounding out this week, we see Bourges against Avenida. The first of my 3 to watch this week is our opening game on the Tuesday. We've got Valencia taking on Zaragoza, the all-Spanish clash. The team that are grabbing a lot of their headlines at the moment. Second place Valencia, currently sitting on a 6-1 record, going up against third placed Zaragoza. They have a 5-2 record. Group F action here. Zaragoza come away with the win. They'll be on the same record as Valencia. Obviously they'll have the head-to-head as well, so potentially that is a big one, a huge game for Zaragoza. Valencia take the win, really does give them a big step towards making out of this second round. My heart, and I'll give you my predictions in a bit, but my heart suggests, one, we have some home court advantage, and Zaragoza last week looked a little shaky. They were down by 15 at one stage, so it's going to be a tough game for them on the road. I don't think they can't do it, but I think Valencia probably have the advantage in this one. Second game to watch is our opening game on the Wednesday as Mersin go up against Skio. Mersin sitting pretty, 7-0, top of Group E. Skio currently in third place, just behind Lond on a points difference situation. Skio sitting in third there in Group E. Certainly going to be an interesting one. Mersin have looked pretty tough this year. However, last week they looked a little bit more fragile, a little bit more beatable. Pushed hard by Avenida in Salamanca in Spain. They eventually locked out that 2-point win, but certainly some vulnerability shown maybe for one of the first times this season for Mersin. As for Skio last week, comfortable win against Brno. They moved to that 5-2 record. Interesting one, this one. Again, if you flip this and put this on the Skio home floor, this could absolutely be the first loss of the season for Mersin. Potentially that home court, the lack of travelling that they're going to have to do, might pay dividends here for Mersin in this game. Final one to watch, probably the biggest one for me to watch. You have to tune in this. I'm on commentary for this one. It is Bourges going off against Avenida. This is 4th versus 5th in Group E. Bourges with a 4-3 record. Avenida with a 3-4 record. If Avenida can come away with the win, that blows Group E wide open. Puts them onto the same record as Bourges. Will obviously put them above Bourges due to that head-to-head as well. So that really would open up qualification and progression in Group E. Historically, this is a 7-6 head-to-head advantage to Bourges. Not that you can really read much into that. The last time these two actually met in Euroleague Women's was back in 2017. So there might have been a few players actually thinking about it that played in that one against one another, but there won't be too many, so I don't think we can take too much of that. Super close game. Avenida obviously pushed Mersin super close last week on their home floor. Bourges, though, they're 2-1 on their home floor, only losing to Mersin so far this season when they played on that home hardwood. I think that once again will play a part. That Bourges crowd is electric and certainly will help them. But should be a super close game. Avenida obviously took Mersin close. I think they're going to push Bourges super hard in this one as well, so make sure you tune in. Okay, the bit of the week that I dread the most. Here are my predictions for game week 8 in Euroleague Women's second round here. First up, Zabini Brno against Lond. Lond flying high, 5-2 record, a 2 coming off the back of a couple of wins. I just think they're too strong. I think Lond are really starting to gather momentum. I think they're a team that has confidence, and I think they're a team that really needs that confidence as well. So I think they become much more difficult to challenge, to tackle. when they're on a roll. I think Lorne are going to be too tough for Zabini Brno, which is problematic. If Brno lose this one, they drop to a 2-6 record, and depending on other results, that could put them 2 games behind the chase. So, in fact, could potentially put them 3 games behind the chase for progression. So that could be problematic. But I think Lorne win this one. Second game of Valencia against Zaragoza. As I said, Valencia star-studded roster on their home floor. I think that's going to be too much for Zaragoza. Zaragoza down by 15 against Real last week. Unbelievable to come back. I think a lot of that comes down to that home court. When they're playing on their home floor, they look really, really strong. Crowd behind them, constantly pushing them. I think because this is in Valencia, we have to say that they are favourites for this one. That's why I've gone for a Valencian win here. Third game is Mersin against Skio. Again, home court's going to be important. I think this one's going to be close. Skio, a real up and down seesaw type of a season. Mersin pretty much consistent up to last week, but were pushed to the final seconds of that game. However, Mersin back on their home floor. I just think it's too much for Skio to tackle. However, again, should be a close game. Mersin just edging this one. Probably single digits though. Next game, Praha against Polkowice. Polkowice really struggling. Worst record remaining in Euroleague Women's, just 1-6 record. They're already 3 games behind on the qualification. Even though they've got some superstar quality, the likes of Cannon, I'm not sure that they're going to have enough in this one. Particularly on the road with Praha. Be interesting to see if McBegor is in the lineup or not. Missed out last week as Praha pushed Fenerbahce super close. But should be an interesting one, but Praha to take the win. Next one, Umana Rea against Fenerbahce. Fenerbahce had a tough game last week. Umana Rea obviously will be very disappointed, leading by 15 points and then eventually going down on the road to Zaragoza. Certainly on their home floor will help Rea, but I just believe Fenerbahce are too strong. They're rotating their roster domestically, making sure that they have fresh legs for the big games. And I think, again, they will be too much for Rea in this one. And then our final game of week 8 sees Bourges against Avenida. For me, this is the toughest one to call. 2 very evenly matched teams. Some youth as well as some experience in both of these teams. Players with big game experience as well. Been there, done that, both domestically and on the international stage. However, Bourges, home floor. Avenida on their travels. I think Avenida don't travel as well maybe as some of the other teams do. Bourges certainly look good on their home floor, so I'm prompting for a France win as Bourges will come away with the win. But again, wouldn't surprise me if we see this one go into overtime. I'm on commentary for it. I'll definitely be booking out extra time in the diary to accommodate 1, if not 2 overtime periods to close out week 8 of the Euroleague Women's regular season. So thank you so much for joining me for this episode. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you're enjoying the action on the court. I'm on comms for 2 games this week, the Mersin Skio game and the Bourges Avenida game. So please do make sure you tune in. I look forward to seeing you courtside soon.